making an insert, go back there. So make this insert like here. It's going to keep it foamy, and I can push it back, and this has a little lip on it so that it'll keep it down. But I just need to tape it in place, and I should be good to go. Command strips would be a better idea, but I don't have any command strips. At least not that I think of. So now I have tape on the top here. I'm just going to take it and not need a lot because it just needs to hold the foam up. All right, I'll put this in place. See if this works. Maybe not. Okay, I need to make it thinner. So this foam has little vertical slats in it. I'm just going to remove one of those little slats because it's just a little bit too thick. Okay, I need to make sure that I have paint on here to be able to use when I'm working on it, and I want to get some medium, so I will check that. Just removing the paint, the dry paint. It's been about a week since I painted, so I'm just removing the skin. Oh, that's still wet. Just so you know what colors these are, this is lead white, King's blue, Naples yellow. I think this is cad yellow light, cadmium orange, perylene red, ultramarine blue, but the top here is phthalo blue and some dry white. This is just quick dry white, I think, titanium. And then this is phthalo green. Right there, you don't need a lot of phthalo green. It's a really strong color. So just removing the skin off of that. There's chromium green. I'm trying it out, seeing if I like it. I do kind of like the color. I like that it's not very chromatic. It's also opaque, so you don't have to do a lot to it. This is transparent oxide yellow. Oh, I just removed that whole thing. Nice. Transparent oxide red, which because I have both of these on here, I just remove them. Not the green, anything but the green. All right, and then this is raw umber, which I like raw umber. It's a good gray. And then down here, we're just like mediums that have dried over. So I'm gonna take those off and start over. This was an experiment color. I think it was Mars Red or something like that. I don't like it. It's really strong and it's just too strong of a color, and it dirties up a lot of the colors that I have. So I don't really like it very much. All right, now I get the colors and put them on there. Oh, it's chromium oxide green. Oh, a lot of oil, a lot of oil. That's not good. That means it's gonna slip down the canvas. That's the downside of having a vertical palette like this, is if you get really wet oils, they will ultimately just slide down the canvas and sometimes go off the canvas, but that'll be fine. Okay, now I need some medium. All right, this is Old Masters Merige medium, and this will also have a little bit of oil to it also, but for the most part, it'll work. All right, I think I'm good to go. Actually, I need more water. Here's my flak white. It's lead white. It is half stack lead white and half just lead white that has been processed. So the regular lead white has been manufactured to be small pigments. And then the stack white is basically coils that I've made of lead and then break it down into white pigment. And then I mix the two together and it creates a really nice consistency that I like. It has some thixotropic properties to it also, and very subtle, it's buttery, very subtle changes in value. That's why I like lead white, especially when I'm doing my top layer on objects. All right, I think I'm good to go. What I will do next is remove big chunky paint. All right, totally dry. Now I'm gonna zoom in and start working on the painting. Trying to focus here. It's not working. You move it a little bit closer, if I can. All right, now that I have it set to manual focus, it should stay there and it shouldn't move. Oh, that's nice. Okay, let's get this party started. All right, just getting a bunch of brushes. That's it. Got to figure out what I'm going to do with all these brushes, and then I'm going to start to work on my glazing and scumbling. I have the brick off to the left here for me to look at and compare various colors and values. And so I'm going to start with the brick because I think it's entertaining and fun to paint the brick. But I need a flat edge brush. I need a flat brush. No, I'm going to start with the fan brush. So it's relatively flat on this. This is a bristle fan brush, and then this one's a sable fan brush. I don't know if you can see the difference between the two, but this one's got a lot of use out of it. So I'm going to mix together some of the colors that I see on the brick that is next to me. I'm going to change the shape of the brick and fortify some things. So first things first, this value looks a little bit darker to me, so I'm going to go ahead and take that darker value, some transparent oxide yellow, and some raw umber, a little bit of transparent oxide red, just a titch. Transparent oxide red really goes dark. So let's try this out and see if I'm too dark. So here I'm just dragging it across and seeing if I can get some interesting textures or forms. Okay, it's a little bit red for some of these areas, so I'm going to add some raw umber. This is kind of like a mix between a scumble and a glaze. There we go, just darken that up a little bit. Okay, that might be just a little bit too much for my liking, a little too flat. So I'm gonna gray it down a little bit. I'll take some of this King Blue. Look at how gray that went. Man, why? It's almost like I know what I'm doing with these freaking colors. All right. Just want to gray down some of these areas. shape actually looks a lot better now. And the value. And the color. All right, I'm gonna go into this back area here. There's like a black band against it, and it's in the shadows, so it's just slightly darker. So I'm gonna come in here. No, it needs to be darker. Darker than that. There we go. Let's try that out. A little bit darker. There we go. And then I'm going to put some of the same value here in the lights because I want that contrast to pop out in the light shapes. Just a little bit. Now, I'm going to work on some of these gray shapes. There's a slightly darker value that's coming back here too. I just want to create a little bit more variation. Ooh, maybe it like has a racing stripe on the back side of it. Fancy. Okay, as I'm looking at this edge, it's just a little bit too similar. I need to vary it a little bit more and break some of these edges. So I'm going to break some of these shapes up just a little bit, making some harder and some softer, just so I have more variation. There we go. Has a little bit more personality now. All right, now for the front. Take some of this King's Blue with the raw umber, and I'm just going to go across the front here. Notice I'm using the edge of the brush, the side of the brush. I just want to place some of these colors on this brick. I want to drag them across. I don't want to fill it all in because I want some of that texture to show through. I'm going to take some more blue. Keep it that same value. Maybe that was too blue? Too blue. No, it needs to go darker value. Darker value blue. Let's try that out. I kind of like that blue. don't want to put the blue everywhere. So I'm gonna do a little bit of that blue, and then let's have some fun with this yellow. Kind of like an orange. So I'll grab a little bit of orange, put it there. So now I'm gonna be having complementary colors right next to each other as I scumble across. So let's try this out and see if it works. Scoop it up, come over to the other area. Okay, so I'm pushing that contrast just a little bit more. Let's go in this top plane here. Soften out some things just a little bit. Same thing with right here. There we go. And then I wanna darken out part of this that's going in towards the back. So I'll grab a little bit of white. A little bit more. And I wanna go more pink. So a little bit of perylene red. This might be too dark. Yeah, it looks too dark to me. A little bit lighter. Just want to kind of kill this corner because I don't want a lot of attention to be here. So I'm going to just darken that up a little bit more. And then soften out the edge. Okay, coming along. Here we have just a little bit more of a tan color, so I'm going to go with transparent oxide yellow. Along with some white. More white. Let's see how this looks. Looks pretty good. I need some medium. All right, so a lot of this I'm now kind of just futzing with it, which is okay. I enjoy futzing with it as long as I know that I'm not really making much progress in the painting. I'm looking at a distance to see if what I'm painting is is making sense visually. I have a mirror behind me. And so I'm just trying to take a look behind me and say, does that make sense? Does it read well? Does it not read well? What can I change to make it read better? Take some of this, and there are some blotches that are just kind of sitting on the surface of this thing. So I'm gonna place those blotches on there. And then I really want to soften out this edge. I feel like it's just a little bit too hard, so I'm going to take some of this red, which is kind of close to that, more yellow. That was maybe too yellow. Some Perylene red. There we go, look at that. And then some white. I want to have this make a difference. So now if I come over to this edge here, just kind of want to kill that edge just a little bit so that it's not too hard. I still want to separate it, but not separate it so much that it doesn't read to be an edge. So maybe I have some of this that comes back there. No, it still needs to be more red. Now this is probably too red. That's okay, I can vary it. There we go. A little bit of red over here, just at the edge. That will make it disappear a little bit better and soften out this edge. Lighter value. Lighter value. There we go. Come along. All right, I'm just seeing very subtle variations in these. So I'm dragging the paintbrush across just to kind of skip across the ridges of the paint and just trying to figure out what these actually really liking what's going on with this brick. Just need to break up that shape just a little bit more. Okay, in terms of focus, where do I want people to look? That's an excellent question. Thank you for asking. I need to determine what I want to do with that. All right. I'm going to take more of this white, mix it in with the blue. Get some gray on that side. There's just a bit too much. There's this awesome cut in there, which I think helps bring everything together. All right, now I'm going to take a more detailed brush. This is a red sable. I'm going to get some raw umber. And to me, it's really, really hot down in here. So I'm going to take transparent oxide red with the raw umber. Let's see if I can get a good tip on this, and I'm not sure if I will. I just want to enhance a few little areas to provide a little bit more stability on this brick. This shape I want to revisit because I wasn't liking it very much. All right. I'm going to refine just some of these shadow shapes that are going around. No, it needs to be darker. All right. I think I just want to soften out this edge just a little bit more. There we go. Okay. Now it's a matter of refining these plums and let's see how we'll do that. All right. I'm going to stick with my fan brush. Go with some Perylene red. Now, in my still life, I don't have the fruit here anymore. I mean, they've been eaten for a couple of weeks. I had to let this whole thing dry before doing this next layer. So I'm going to try to stick with the color notes that I have described in the painting. I'm just going to make it more opaque or make it more solid. And like this red is just a bit too red, so I'm going to, I don't even know if you can, oh, okay, yeah, it's on the screen. So I'm going to decrease the chroma of that red, come in here and see if I can get a good match. Nope, that's too chromatic of a red. So I'm going to take some yellow. There we go, that might be the sweet spot. Oh, so close. I'm just seeing if it looks like it's in focus. Hold on one sec. All right, just had to make sure the focus was working out. It looks like it's in focus. All right, now redefining this guy here. It looks too egg-shaped for my liking, even though that is kind of the shape of the plum. So I want to make it just a little bit more round. I think in order to do that, I have to go onto the outside here, not necessarily on the inside. So this red that I put in there, let's get a little bit more yellow. There we go. Yeah, buddy. All right, now I'm going to go off the outside there. And to turn the form, instead of going so yellow, I'm actually going to decrease the chroma. Get a little bit of king blue. Let's try King's Blue. Oh, that was a lot of King's Blue. That's right, let's try it out. Yes. So that King's Blue will allow the form to turn back just a little bit more. It's not straight King Blue, obviously, and I think I'm making it just a little bit too thick, so I'm going to shift back over to the oranges. How's that looking? I think that's looking pretty good. Okay, a little bit more red as it's turning down the form here. Just subtle little changes all over in here. There we go. Kind of soften that change in the angle. That's too much. Clean off the brush. Clean off the fingers. And then maybe I could have the stem over there. I'm going to add a little bit more of this violet that's coming down to the bottom there. So clean off the brush. King blue with a little bit of Perylene red. Let's see if that works. I don't know, maybe. That looks pretty darn close. And then I have just a little bit of a green stem that I need to paint on there. So let's go with this green. That's a bit. You need to go with a more yellow green. So if you go with a more yellow green in the stem, then that is closer to living. Because when you pick the stem, it's more of this yellow green that is in there. All right, clean the brush. Pick up some more. This was probably the wrong brush to use. But I will chisel around it. I will paint around this thing. All right, here we go. And make it look like I didn't paint around it. Okay, I'm digging that. I'm gonna have some fun with, so these are Satsuma plums or, no, Santa Rosa plums. So these are Santa Rosa plums and this is a Flavor Queen Pluot. And so I'm really gonna enhance the Flavor Queen Pluot because I want that to be the focus. And what I'll do when I'm rendering this is I will soften out the edges of the Flavor Queen so that it, it'll look glowy, like it's glowing. Glowing? I don't know if that, like light is bouncing off of it, so it's not really glowing, but just light is bouncing off. So now that I have this one rendered out a little bit, I'm gonna fix just a couple little things here that are bugging me, like the edge quality here. That needs to change. And then I'm gonna work on the other plums. There we go, that's a little bit better. These other plums I'm gonna work on, I just want them to be a little bit more cleaned up. All right. Oh, before I do that, I gotta finish that stem. Come on, Mick G. Get it together, dude. Okay, I'm gonna take some, a little bit of the red and place it in there. Kind of soften that out a little bit. There we go. And now that I'm really thinking about it, I want to take some of that green and turn that form. If I can get away with it. I don't know if I will, because it's pretty dirty. Oh, that's way too dark. There we go. That looks better. All right. I'm liking that. So now I'm going to move on to the other plums. trying to see this value, if it's right or not. I think it needs to go a little bit darker. Ooh, that was too dark. But I already have paint on there, so I can mix it in with it. There we go. All right, a little bit of king blue here, reflecting this white that's going off the brick. And then this tannish color, slightly lighter, going to be reflecting. Oh, that's too light. I'm going to go darker. And a little bit darker. There we go. That looks so much better. Okay, and then it's turning here in the top here. I have multiple dimensions that I need to think about. So the form is turning like this and like this. So I need to get that ambient light that is hitting the top of it that's more blue. And then as it's turning towards me, it's going to become more of a local color. And then as it goes under, it's going to get more of the bounce light of whatever's coming under it. So this is more brown because the bounce light coming from the ground. This is going to be more blue because the ambient light that's coming up to the top. And then this is going to be just a little bit more chromatic and red. So I'm going to go from the chroma into that blue. So more reds. And then that doesn't go as light. It needs to go just slightly darker. And then this needs to go just slightly darker too. now that I have that red, I'm going to add a little bit of king blue because it's a lighter value. So it's going to make it more of a violet. Let's take that violet and go along the edge here. There we go. Yes. Go, buddy. All right. There's almost like a valley that goes right here in it. And I want to kind of soften out some of that valleyness. Valleyness? That's a new word. So I'm going to take some of these values and just kind of kill this larger valley that's at the bottom here. I don't want that to pop out as much. All right, now on to the next one. So I'm going to start from my darker values and move in towards the light and finish it off more like this one. Some Perylene red, a little bit of a medium, more Perylene red, and the light source is kind of cool, so I'm going to warm up that value. So I'm going to take just a little bit of that, the Perylene red and transparent oxide red. There we go. That's much darker of a value. Come in here and establish that. Oh, that is much more solid of a shape. Yes, okay. Now I'm going to take some of that Perylene red without the transparent oxide red. Pump up a little bit of that chroma here in this core. Right as it's turning, and also as it's coming up. And now with this part, I'm going to do the same thing that I did there, which is this tan color. Needs to be more tan. A little bit better. And then it goes right over in that orange. So I'm going to soften out that orange. A little bit more softening. And then a little bit on the back side here. There we go, and then it goes a little bit more yellow as it goes around the edge. Now, I already have the colors and the values placed in there, but I might not like the texture. Currently, I don't really love the texture, so I want to enhance some of those colors and textures just to give it a little bit more of a kick. That's too orange. I want to kind of kill that. So I'm going to take the complementary, the King Blue, and a little bit of white. Let's test that out. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Man, on the palette, it's an ugly color, but as soon as you put it next to this other color, I think it's a very nice color. So just kind of soften out some of this. There we go. Now our form's turning. And take that same color, come across here. Oh, that's beautiful. I'm actually going to take the same color and paint it over here because I see that same thing going on. So, King Blue. There's a little bit of white, not too much white because this is a back. Nice, coming along. All right, now I need to create this rim. So I need to take a slightly lighter value that goes across the edge here. And I'm gonna take some white, add it to that color, and let's just give it a slight color change. There we go. Okay, and then I want to have a little bit more violet that's going off on the back edge to round that out a little bit better. So I'm going to go with King Blue and Perylene Red. Let's see if that'll work. Oh yeah, that is nice. Such a nice color. A little bit on this plane too. I want to turn that back. I want it to kind of dip in there before it hits that stem. So I'm cooling it down to have it drop back. All right, and then I'm going to take that same color and go to the back side of this guy here. All right. In fact, to increase harmony, I'm going to do the same thing with this one over here. I'm going to take the same blue and kind of violet and put it on the back edge here. Yes, I like that violet a lot more. Okay, continuing on. What do I want to work on? Let's go with just a slight purple here. And I want to make that a slightly darker cast shadow. not too dark. So gonna go back with my paintbrush, transparent oxide yellow. Let's hit it on that edge there. Is that too much? I think that might be too much. Hey Marcus, that is a Boston brick. No, I don't know if this is the Boston brick. I don't think this one is. I think it's still at the school, so I need to find it and do a painting of it. All right, that might be just a little bit too much of a shadow, so I'm gonna narrow it down a little bit. Oh, there we go. Yeah, buddy. Gonna do the same thing over here. All right. Now I'm gonna build up the form coming from, I need to finish this, so I'm gonna finish that first. Keep jumping around everywhere. Why do I keep jumping? There we go. That's a little bit better. Same thing with this one. I want to soften out and render out some of those forms. Soften out that form just a little bit. Okay, this one. That is a bit too violet and light in value, so I'm gonna clean my brush, go darker in value, Perylene red, transparent oxide red, just make it a little bit more opaque and come around the edge here. And then this needs to go a little bit darker, except it's more of an orange darker. So I'm gonna add some orange, which is opaque. Maybe I need to go even darker than that. Yeah, I'm gonna go darker. Okay, gonna go with this, the brown that's kind of on the edge there. Soften out this edge just a little bit more. There we go. Variation. Variation in edge quality, variation in color. I don't like this. This reads to be too flat. So I'm gonna lighten the value there and make it look like it's turning. Turning better. So Perylene red, oh, that might be too pink, but I'm gonna try it anyways. It's totally too pink. Shiitake mushrooms. All right, let's go with a little bit of that Perylene red to kind of step it down. A little bit more of that Perylene red to kind of step it down. more of an orange. And then just a little bit more of a green. How's that looking? It's looking okay. All right, a little bit more red to push that form back now. So perylene red and right along that edge. Yes. That'll turn the form better. And then I want to punch that highlight just a little bit more. So white with violet. Might be a little bit too white. Yeah, that looks too white. All right. I don't know, maybe I think that might be it. I'm liking I'm looking at it from a distance. Maybe just a little bit more on that highlight. I don't want to do it too much, but I can always start over. But I don't want to go too light because I don't want it to compete with the other two. It'll be too repetitious. So, all right, now for the fun one. The fun one is this nice little Flavor Queen Pluot. But before I paint that Flavor Queen, I need a drink. All right, Flavor Queen Pluot. Here we go. I like these various colors that I have along the side here that are more of a blue. It gives it, there's usually a powdery film that goes on plums unless you shine them. And it's actually a protective covering for the fruit, at least that's what I understand. And anyways, but what I want to do with this that's different from the rest is I want to make this one look like light is radiating off of it. The brick is just a platform for this pluot to be able to have the light radiate, and then there's just all these other little plums that are sitting down there. Then after that, I want to rework some of these shadows and also the lights. I'll probably end up just working into the lights and creating more texture in the foreground to complement the smooth or lack of texture that's in the plums. But right now I gotta get this guy, this gal, this item, this object figured out. All right. So cleaning off we're changing hue now. So green, I'm gonna go with this chrome green. That is see how dark and chromatic that is? It's really chromatic. So let's see. I will go with some transparent oxide red to darken down part of that value. Let's give that a go. See how it looks. terms of value, that's looking okay. I think I am just going to add a little bit of white to it. Okay, add a little bit more white to it. Okay, come on. Add some white to it for Pete's sake. There we go. There's some white. Well, that value is looking better. Okay. And if I remember correctly, and I kind of described it here, it went more of a tan over onto that side. So I'm going to take some transparent oxide yellow, more, and some white. And let's go over to the side here and see if that's close. It's a little bit too dark, so I will add some yellow. Ooh, that's looking nice. Add a little bit more yellow. It's hard to see from this angle. I get a lot of reflection, so I need to change my angle to look at it. That's looking a little bit better. And then, so it's more of a warm over here, and then when it comes to this other side, it becomes more cool. So I want to keep my warm values in the shadow area. I'm going to go just a little bit darker to turn that form. This is a very low chroma green I'm trying to work with here. And then as soon as it transitions off to the right, it goes into a higher chromatic, or not higher chromatic, but more of a cool green. So I could switch over into here and add blues to it because that's a pretty cool green. This green. But if I add just a little bit of king blue to it, or maybe even white because it's already there, let's test that out. Oh yeah, check that out, baby. What? It's like a phthalo green almost. Might be a little bit too green, too blue green. But I'm gonna continue on. There we go. I'm gonna add the same color kind of up at the top here. That might be a little dark, but I'm actually okay with that darkness. No, I'm not. I'm not okay with it. I'm gonna make it a little bit lighter. All right. And we're going just a little bit too blue on that green. Maybe? I'm not sure. Okay. A little bit more towards the top. Turn that form, because I'm trying to describe turning form this way and turning form this way. So in order to turn form this way, I need to make it a little bit more cool on the edges. And in order to turn it this way, I need to make it more cool on the top versus the middle. So I'm trying to use cools and warms to be able to turn the form a little bit better, and I'm slowly getting there. Now I need to go just a little bit more. Along with some white. There we go. Now I'm going to come back into this part that is a little bit more of a yellow and reestablish that. So let's go with this other side. The nice thing about this fan brush is you can just softly fan them. I'm trying to see the values a little bit better, so I'm doing vertical brush strokes as opposed to horizontal, just so I can see the shape better, if I'm actually using the right value and color to be able to turn the form. And then over here, I need to make that more of this chromatic green, but just white. Yeah, I'm liking that. All right, and then I'm gonna just soften out this transition just a little bit more. There we go. And then up at the top part here, oh, I need to figure out, is that gonna be more, I think it's gonna be more of this warm green. It's right here on the edge. Okay, and now I'm gonna cool down some of these other edges to make it look like it has that protective coating over the pluot. And the way you do that is go green, but with a King's Blue. I like King Blue. And King's Blue is nice because this is just a slightly lighter value, so I'm able to use not only the color but the value to really turn that form and make it look modeled. that too much? That might be too much. I don't know if that's too much. Okay, I'm gonna take some more of this King Blue. I don't know if it's too much, so I'm gonna go just a little bit further, and then I'll make the decision. And then on this under part, I want to take some of this peachy color, violet peach color, and have it bounced into the green plum. So to get that peachiness, what do I need to do? I'm gonna go with this violet. Let's try that out. Let's see if it'll work. Ooh, that violet change is nice. So nice. That's good. It feels like the color is bouncing into it. Let's get a little bit more. Okay, maybe I went too far on that one. Darker. That's what I need to do. Go darker. It's a little bit of King's Blue. Okay, let's try that. Oh, darker, for the love of Pete. All right, let's try this. No, that's getting pretty darn close. Shiitake mushrooms. All right, I might have really messed that up. Let's go back to this color. I don't even know, my head was probably in the way, wasn't it? Oh, so close. Look at that bald head. Okay, now I want to soften out that portion of it because it is, so I'm cleaning my brush. It is just too V-shaped. Is that the right word? Go back here, grab some of this color. That feels better. Let's do a little bit more. And let's go with the top here. A little bit more. Oh, it's coming. It's coming along. Yeah, buddy. All right. Now the question is, what am I going to do to make it look like it's glowing? So not glowing, like light is bouncing off of it. So I can take a higher chroma color and put it around the edge here. But I usually don't want to do that until after I've painted in the background. So maybe I'll hold off and wait to do the glowy effect on that until after I get everything else put in. But I really want to do it right now because it's fun to do. So I'm sorry, you're just gonna have to hold off until I get the background painted in before I make this all glowy. And maybe I'll remember to make it all glowy after after I painted the background, because I'm sure a lot of times I forget. And I'm like, what did I want to do? But that's the nice thing about recording this stuff is I can look back at it and go, oh, that's right. I needed to do the glowiness of the fruit. I don't like that shape very much. So I'll fix that when I come back into it. All right, and then the highlight. Need to keep that also green, and I want to make that the most important part. Uh-oh, I see somebody else said something. Yes, Marcus. The reason why doing vertical strokes, my light is coming from back here. And if I do vertical strokes, then the strokes don't bounce or reflect that light off of the canvas. If I have a stroke that's curving like this, I'll get highlights that will, highlights that will appear, and it will distract, and I won't be able to see if I'm getting the right value. If I do vertical strokes, because my light is coming down, then I know I'm getting the right hue, value, and chroma. So, good little question. But I'm definitely not liking that little bump or shape that's coming in there, so I think I will just, well, let's try something. No, that didn't help. Ooh, that helped. There we go. Okay, I'm starting to like that. All right, highlight. I'm gonna go with the chroma green and pull some white. No, not white. I'm gonna go with Naples yellow. There we go. All right. Just painted that on there, and now I just need to soften out some things. Soften out the edge just a little bit so that it doesn't read as like it's too much of a specular highlight. Oh, maybe it needs more of a specular highlight. Oh wow, this better be good. That's hard to compete against the Brady Bunch Variety Hour. I don't know if I can do that. You might have to go watch the Brady Bunch. That's gonna be hard. All right, gonna reestablish that highlight just a little bit more. A little bit more, come on. Naples yellow. More Naples yellow. Is this gonna be too much? I don't know. We'll just have to see. Nope, wasn't too much. Okay, let's try it again. All right, I'm digging that. Okay, now I need to make the other objects or things more interesting. And how am I going to do that? I'm going to do some dry brushing on these lighter values. So let me mix up a good little color value that is going to be close to this. Oh, that's more grayish. That's good. Let's try it out. Wow, you can't even, it's the same exact value. Hot diggity. No, it's not. It's a little bit darker. Nah, need to lighten that up just a little bit more. Let's try that out. Now it's too light. But if I mix it in there with it, it'll make it close to the same. Oh, too much yellow. Shiitake mushrooms. A little bit of medium in with it to make it last a little bit longer. I'm just trying to mix something that is close to the same thing here, just a little bit more variation to make the surface interesting. It's a little bit more change. The Very Brady sequel, I don't think I've watched any of those. It is very hard to compete against the Brady Bunch. I mean, there are some people on here that probably have never even heard of the Brady Bunch. A little bit more. A little bit more white. I don't know, maybe this is working along there. Wow. Go Brady Bunch. I'm amazed on how many people are interested in talking about the Brady Bunch. Maybe that's a very good topic of conversation, the Brady Bunch. Can anyone name all the members of the Brady Bunch family? I know I can't. I mean, without the help of Google, so can you do it without Google? I think that'd be important to know. Oh my goodness.
this will work. Maybe that's too light in value. Is that too light? It might be too light. Well, thanks. But I think that, yeah, I did grow up with the Brady Bunch, watching the Brady Bunch. It was a fun little show, and also like Leave It to Beaver. That was a really oldie. Oldie moldy. All right, that's looking better. Let's come in and chisel out some shapes here. Well, the other nice thing about um, the Brady Bunch is they were kind of like He-Man and G.I. Joe and all that stuff, where they had literally at the end of the show, they're like, hey, what's a good thing that we learned from this experience? And then they would talk about it. Nowadays, it's all about entertaining. It's not so much about family values. Add a little bit of King's blue, go along the edges here because I want to get slightly darker in value. I'm gonna make it even darker and more gray. So there's some raw umber to make it more gray. But there's some bouncing light. So light will hit this object, bounce onto the surface, and bounce back in. And the color of the object will bounce a little bit onto the surface. So you got to know what color is being bounced where, so you can better understand what's going on with the colors and the values and making sense of it all. But did anybody name all the Brady Bunch family? Oh, My Little Pony does that? I had no idea. That's great to know. So why do I use a palette knife over brush for scumbling? I haven't scumbled the background. So, I mean, foreground I haven't scumbled, and I haven't scumbled on the background. So I'm using a palette knife just to create more interesting texture, and I'm getting the value relatively close. So I'm just trying to create more interest in it. And yes, you can use it as scumbling because you'll have inconsistencies that are over the canvas. But right now, I'm just putting colors down that are really close to what I actually have to make the surface more interesting to look at. So when somebody looks at the painting, it reads well from a distance, but then also when you get up close to it, you can go, oh wow, look at all the different textures that are on there. I mean, I don't know if anybody else does that, but I do that with like Rembrandts and Vermeers and all that stuff. The dark values up here, I'm not going to do it with the palette knife because I want to create a sense of depth. And in order to do that, I have to have thinner shadow values and thicker foreground. textures, just so that I'm using texture to describe things instead of just values. And I don't have to worry about the palette knife is great because it provides inconsistencies that I can't plan for. And I want to have happy accidents, just like Bob Ross, all the happy accidents. So I want to have and create some happy accidents in my paintings because that's where a lot of interest will come into play. Some more medium, kind of thin it down a little bit. And a little bit of King's Blue to cool it down a little bit more. I love King Blue because because it really is not that strong of a color, and I can use it in all over the painting, and it really allows me to turn form with value without getting too light or too dark. So there, it just went a little bit too dark for my liking, so I'm going to add a little bit of white. And see if I can lighten up parts of this. And then this part off to the side here, I just need to darken more and soften out. So maybe instead of a King Blue, I will use a little bit of ultramarine blue. A little bit more. Okay, a little bit more. Oh my goodness, there it goes. So ultramarine blue to get a slightly darker blue value and creep into the shadow a little bit more. I don't know if that means posting the VOD or the video. Yes, this automatically gets posted onto YouTube once I'm done with the live stream. But I am also going to take parts of this video clip and make kind of a time-lapse discussion and show the whole process of working on this painting from start to finish. So this live version is just one of the many steps that I'm going to take for this video. At least that's the intention. But then I have to ask myself, do I have enough time to be able to do that? And sometimes the answer is no. But I just got to make time, you know? There we go. Just soften out that a little bit more. I'm liking how that reads. Okay, there's one thing that's popping up right here, and I'm not liking that. It's too parallel with the plum. So I'm just going to kind of kill that shape a little bit. No, it's a slightly darker value right there. All right. So lighten it up. There. Oh, so much better. Yeah, baby. Oh, Merige. I'm using the Merige medium today. I change it up. It just depends on what I want to do. All right, I want to soften out this edge just a little bit more onto the side here. There's some textures that are there, and I just want to soften that. I don't want to draw the eye over here too much. So I'm kind of dry brushing over the texture so that I can soften out those edges. Yeah, that has a good feel to it. I'll do the same thing with this side over here. Just go over it with another little transparent, semi-transparent, semi-opaque brush stroke, going in different directions to kind of soften that out and fill it in. Because if I do a zoom in of what I've got going on here, there are just little teeny scratchy marks that are transparent in there, which is fine, but sometimes they can be distracting. I'm going to take this value and go just right in here and make that less warm and soften out the edge. Okay, I got a little bit of red on my brush, and I have to fix that. Moving the red off the brush. There we go. And I want to kind of do the same thing here. There, that has a little bit more life to it on that cast shadow. Seems to be matching better, that cast shadow onto the brick. I have to do the same thing over here though. Soft edge brush. There we go. Now it makes it so that there's less focus on there because I don't have all these distracting shadows. Just kind of finessing some of these things. There we go. All right. And this last one, the shadow that's just coming under here. Yeah, soften that out too. That way it's not as distracting and doesn't pop out. All right, I think we're getting really close. All right, I am just gonna finish off this background and then call it a day. So dry brush. Maybe not a day, but I'll call it for this painting. I'm gonna work on landscape painting after this. Ooh, I like that. That's good. Okay. I'm going to move the canvas down a little bit so that I can see this better. And I'm getting really hungry. CR, what are you talking about? What do you mean post stuff on YouTube about art and all that? What does that mean? I don't know what that means. What I do know is that I want to get a soft edge brush so that I can do lazy in the background. So you're not going to see this because it's not on my palette, but I'm going to go with, What color should I do in the background? I'll just keep it neutral. It'll allow all these other colors to kind of pop out. So I will go with a raw umber. I need to get more paint exposed in the raw umber. All right. Raw umber and Merige, which is basically a leaded medium. Let's try that. You know, I'm okay with that. I need more raw umber. Oh, maybe you should start recording yourself painting. I find it's very beneficial because then I can just look at it and as I'm working on it and just see it from a nice distance and go, does this look good enough? Does it not look good enough? What do I need to do to change it? I think it's really beneficial to record yourself. All right. I need to get another medium. I love this medium. It's called Italian Varnish from Rublev. Highly recommend them. It also has black oil and a little bit of wax in it. So when I mix it with the raw umber, it'll be nice and wet for the area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put raw umber towards the top of the painting, going around the whole thing. And then as I get down towards the middle darkness, I'm going to add a little bit of ultramarine blue. Let's try and remember what I was doing. Ultramarine blue. And the reason why I want to add ultramarine blue because ultramarine blue is a slightly darker value than the raw umber. So here I am painting in the raw umber. Just filling in these shapes. And that's a pretty good band of raw umber. I'm going to go with the ultramarine blue. So a little bit of ultramarine blue with the raw umber. A little bit of the medium. You can see, hopefully you can see, it is creating a darker value with that ultramarine. And what I like to do is I put in in a band of color value, and then I go back through after I have that band of color and value, and I mix the two with whatever else needs to be mixed, so that they're softening edges between the two objects. All right, now that I have a good general band of these two colors placed in here, I have a choice. I can keep going down and trying to add another band of color and then mix all three of them, or I can just do them one at a time. So right now I think what I will do is I will mix the third color and put it down there and then mix all three of them. But you can see, because this is my second layer, it is more opaque. So I'm filling in those little parts that were popping through on the canvas, but I'm still keeping it thin. I'm keeping the paint film thin, but because you're doing multiple layers, you're making it darker as it goes back into space. All right, and then I'm gonna go a little bit more ultramarine blue. And a little bit of king blue. Maybe that's going to be too light. Yeah, I think that's going to be too light. Let's try that out. Oh, snap. That's looking really close. Okay. No, that's too dark. glad you're starting to get hungry looking at this. That's good. I know, I haven't eaten today yet. I just wanted to come in the studio and start working, so that's what I did. All right, now I need to transition from these really cool colors to more of these warmer colors so that they're not as hard of a transition. So I'm going with transparent oxide yellow. No, more transparent oxide yellow. More transparent oxide yellow. All right, that's a little bit too harsh of a change, so I'm going to take a paper towel and remove some of the values because they're just too dark. Is that blue too much? That blue might be a bit too much. All right, let's try it on this side and soften it out. All right, now I'm going to soften out these transitions that are in the background. Keeping it thin and simple. All right, how's that look from a distance? Looks okay? Looks okay. Not quite. Needs to be softer. Again, I'm doing vertical brushes so that I'm not getting as much reflection on this back. I want it to look as flat as possible. All right, need to look at just one other little thing. It's looking a little funky around this at the back end. So I'm gonna a little bit of an occlusion shadow there. Soften that out. I need more of an occlusion shadow underneath these guys too. There we go. And now I'm gonna put in the little glowy effect. Around this plum, and maybe the plum is a bit too, oh, I don't know. I'm not loving the Flavor Queen yet. So, Flavor Queen would have what color bouncing off of her? If she were a queen, she should be radiating yellow, orange. If it's green, a green plum, then should it be green? But green doesn't really provide much of a complementary. Okay, I'm gonna throw some energy in there. Let's have her radiate red, all right? So to make it look like it is glowing, I'm gonna go with this Perylene red and some white, just a little bit. Okay, let's give this a try and see if it'll work. I need my mall stick. Thanks, CW. It is amazing how much science and vocabulary of physics and art overlap. It is crazy. All right, The reason why I'm wanting to use red is because red is going to be the complementary of the green. But as it's turning form, it's turning into this like bluish green. So technically what I would want is more of a reddish orange, but color doesn't really make that much of a difference, and I'm just gonna make this glow. And if I mess it up, I can just start over, it's great. All right, so there's a little bit of red. And that's fine, I'm gonna do it again. After you put your color down in there, I'm gonna go to the other side of it too. So right here. You can actually turn form a little bit more by darkening the value and also changing the chroma. And here, I'm just gonna, no, I'm gonna change the colors first. Getting ultramarine blue. And white, if I could get enough white. My goodness. My white is not wanting to cooperate today. I ended up being more of a violet because of all the mixing. So all I'm doing is I'm taking this slightly darker color and I'm painting it around the object. Then I'm gonna take a soft edge brush. I'm gonna pull from this lighter value into the darker value. From the lighter value into the darker value that's in the background. What this does is this creates a soft edge like a halo. You can do this when your painting is dry. You can do it when your painting is wet. You can do it really anytime. It's easier to handle once your first layer is dry. I'm gonna come in and put in a little bit of blue here. Clean off the brush. It's really hard to do this when there's a camera recording because I can't stand right behind it. If I do, my head gets in the way and I can't demonstrate what I'm trying to do. Oh, by the way, what I'm doing is I'm taking my brush and I'm wiping it off onto paper towel as I'm moving around this form. So that creates a slight little halo effect. If I want to make it more obvious, then I just increase the softness of the transition. So here I'm going into the light a little bit more, and I need to increase that chroma again. But the closer you get that value to the background, the softer the edge is going to look, and the more you're going to be able to play with that color to make it really pop out. This took me a long time to figure out, but gosh, I keep cleaning my brush and it still doesn't. Oh, that was the wrong one. Okay. Need to go back in here and get. There we go. And then I'm going to take a bit of that King's Blue and Ultramarine Blue. And put it right here. Cleaning off my brush again. I don't know. Okay. It's okay. I'm going to take some more of that blue because I really want that to speak. Gosh, but I like that violet. Now I have to go back into that green and kind of push it just a little bit more out because that indented a little bit too much for my liking. Okay, so I'm not loving it yet. Deeper red. Maybe I just keep futzing with it until I end up loving it. Okay, I'm liking some of that. It might be too much of that, but if I come back into this blue, a little bit more of that blue. And I can come back in with this dark color and value, the more neutral colors in the background. brush. Clean off the brush. That's kind of fun. All right, and then I need to make a slightly darker value that is sitting right in the middle of that. Because that's where the stem would have come out. Okay, maybe that was too dark. And this part is just a little bit too light. So thin brush, I'm gonna just darken down that reflected light just a little bit. It's better. That's looking better. Colin, how about you tell Marcus you said hi? So in terms of the painting for the glowing effect, you're painting the space behind the fruit. But sometimes you'll paint into the fruit and then you have to kind of paint from the fruit into the background again to be able to get it. And if I zoom up close, you'd be able to see it a little bit better, but I'm kind of digging the glowing effect that it creates on the backside. And I need to make this just a little bit darker. This Flavor Queen just has to sing. There we go. That is much better. It looks less cut out now. Yes, is there anything I should change on the brick? I don't know if I'm kind of digging the brick a little bit. There's this part that needs to flatten out. I don't know. All right, I think I might actually call it a day because I don't want to overwork it. We'll move back up. Maybe I will work on it later if I'm not totally loving it. I mean, there are some things that I'm really liking and other things that I'm not so liking. I like the rawness of some of the areas. I like the very subtle color and value changes that I have in the painting. I like various textures that I have. I don't know. I think I just have to sit on it and determine if it's done. But as of right now, I'm going to say it's done, and I will sign it. Oh, it looks like I need more medium. That's an F, just in case you didn't know. That's an L, A, C, K. There it is. There she blows. All right. I hope you enjoyed watching me do the painting. I enjoyed working on the painting. It was fun. I want to do another one now. All right, beyond that, I'm going to go and eat some lunch. Have an excellent day.